Welcome back. In this video, we'll mostly be exploring the missions for Rise of the Zilart, along with the new content that's been added to the expansion, which is a lot of stuff, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Rise of the Zilart was released in 2003, 1 year after the release in Japan, though the expansion was bundled with the North American release. The best way to describe Rise of the Zilart is that it's adding a lot of content that was meant to be released on launch, but couldn't due to time. Of course, it has its own things: 3 new jobs, Samurai and Dragoon, which are new DD jobs, while Ninja is an off-tank / DD, new bosses to hunt, new zones to camp at, and even increasing the level cap to 75, which will be the max level cap for a long time. Now that the preamble stuff is done, let's start actually playing the game. To start the actual story, we have to go to Kazam, which requires a Kazam airship pass to get there, due to Rasphides of Vanadel taking us there and giving me a warp. But I didn't show off the airship in the last video, due to how slow it is for actual transportation, but I don't think I'll get another chance to show it off, so I'll take it for fun. To get the pass, we have to trade in 3 items to Godal in Port Juno. We can also just pay him 148k for him to give me the pass, which I do, as it's a lot faster to make gil than it is to farm items. After selling a bunch of Archon shields with my sparks for some fast gil, I went from about 99k to over 400k doing this. There's a reason gil isn't considered valuable anymore, and this may be one of them. The items that he wants are behind any notorious monsters or instance fights, just a random drop from enemies, but the drop rate is so low that buying the pass is a lot faster. The airship is the same as the boat. You have to pay a small fare to enter the docking station, and that it's on a set schedule, and if you miss it, you'll have to wait. We arrived just in time, as the airship was going to start docking soon. It even has an animation as it docks / leaves, which is a small but cool detail. Also similar to the boat ride, if you pay attention to the lands below us, you'll be able to pick out the different land masses that we go over, so some really cool attention to detail. You can see Juno in the background as we start going over Windrust. There's also a unique song that's different from the normal airship song when you're going to Kazam. I want to take this time to talk about some stuff as we go on this airship ride. It's not about anything important to the game, so feel free to skip to this timestamp if you don't want to hear me yap. I feel like I didn't do the best job at talking about how much I like this game in the last few videos. I love this game. I've been playing it for 6 years, and it's one of my favorite games of all time. I'm going to try and really show this off in the videos going forward. I'm still new to this whole video making thing, and I've learned a lot of things from my last videos. The other thing that I want to say is thank you guys for the support in the videos. I absolutely love that you guys enjoyed the videos, even though I think I could do a lot better of liking and subscribing and sharing the video with friends that you think may be interested in 11 as a way to get the word out about how good 11 is. This game is amazing and more people need to play it, and I hope you guys get that feeling when watching the video. That's why I'm making them, to spread the word. The airship will be docking soon, and we'll get this really cool shot of a volcano as we zone in, and we'll be taken into Kazam, the port city, to a jungle area. Off the bat, we can see that this place is somehow more green than Windrust. The outside jungle area is the Aushmo lands, split up into the highlands and lowlands. However, traveling the lowlands is always a maze. No matter how many times I've been here, I always run into walls. The only nice thing is that you can take a bird ride through the jungle, so you won't get mobbed as you're going through the long windy paths that sometimes lead into dead ends, or circle back onto each other. The music is really good though. Love the vibes given while I keep looking at the map for the 10th time to figure out where I'm going. We're going to head down to a secret place by the waterfall called Sea Serpent Grotto, or SSG for short. It's a whole underground network, and we'll be going through this place later for some stuff. But before we start exploring SSG, we're going to remove this question mark that's been by our name the whole time. It's to indicate to other players that we're new, but I think it's finally time to remove it. To actually enter Norg, we have to find a hidden door by a cracked wall. Like with Castles of All, there are enemies posted on both sides, so it's tricky to not get aggroed. I could have gotten a high level before coming here. After that, it's just a simple walk to Norg. Once zoning in, we'll get our cutscene, which introduces a lot of things to the story, and it's rather long. We first get stopped by the entrance, the guard seemingly not interested in talking to strangers, but Lion helps us out and lets us in. She asks us if we remember anything, and it seems that we don't. There's a bit of retconning with the main story ending, but it's not too bad. After defeating the Shadow Lord, he doesn't self-implode immediately, as the Archduke of Juno arrives, along with his brother. They're after something, but they couldn't progress their search with the Shadow Lord still around. As it turns out, he's part of the ancient civilization called the Zilarts. Hey, it's like it's the title of the expansion. They praise us for finally solving the issue they had, before saying that we're dead man mode. calling Benedel the grave to all living in it. Also, if you didn't think the obviously evil looking dude was evil, well, I can't help you there. The Altair starts to hear whispers before eventually bringing forward 5 dark crystals, and the warriors of the crystal are soon released. They're also called the Archangels. Seed quickly sprints to try to stop the plan, but Atara puts up a protection spell on them, blowing them back, and we're zapped with a strong thunder spell, sitting us down. Cam orders the warriors to end us, but before Zed gets the shank, Ragrim steps forward and takes the hit, very reminiscent of Cornelia taking the blow from Ulrich. Lion shows up and throws a Chia Blast, telling us to make our escape. Ragrim decides to stay back to help us by giving us some time to leave, spawning himself as a Shadow Lord once again to fight, though he knows that he's no match for the 5 of them, and eventually self-implodes, happy to finally be with Cornelia once again. After that long cutscene, she tells us to walk it off, and when we're ready, to head into a room in the back to meet with somebody. Now that the cutscene is over, I can actually talk about Norg. It's a small pirate community, and it's pretty cool, if a bit too small of a place. It escapes to a really lovely port opening, and Norg is where you can get one of the 3 new jobs added to the expansion, the Ninja. It's an off-tank DD job which casts a lot of spells unique to them, with the most important one being Shadows. Shadows absorb 1 hit, though AoE moves can take off multiple. This allows for the ninja to dodge often with their shadows, which makes them great sub-jobs. Now that we're done looking around and have absorbed all the info, we'll go to the end of the hallway to see another cutscene. We're introduced to Gilgamesh, father to Lion, and a true pirate. He sends his R's, which is how you can tell. Lion thinks that an old ode is becoming true. Perhaps we're the cause of the blood from the innocents to soak the earth, and the warriors with the crystals are the ones to cure the world. Though Gilgamesh thinks it's nothing but hogwash. He soon tells us about an old place called the Temple of Uggalepih. It's not as old as the Zilart, but it's still quite old. One day, during one of his adventures for booty, his words not mine, he sees an apparition, saying that when the minions come, she will arrive. He sends us there to try and find them again. Towards the end, Aldo shows up suddenly, saying that Verana has gone missing and is trying to find more info before heading out. I'm going to take a break from the story for a moment to unlock Ninja and level up some. The temple is a high level area, and most places going forward will also be dangerous to level 50 noobs like us. The quest to unlock Ninja starts in Port Bastok, and we have to go talk to a little girl named Katie. She's actually the little sister of Ayami from the Mithril Musketeers, and doesn't think that she's as good as her sister is. She wants a katana to practice with, but her father always says no. Talking to the father doesn't do much, so we head over to Warehouse 2 to go speak with someone else. We learn that he has some money problems, but is perhaps a bit of a coward, never being sent into battle. Though this Kage guy is a real jerk, we go back to Intetsu to start the actual quest. He sold an item to the Teshendo and he wants it back, but he can't afford it, so he asks us to get some items from a new place called the Koroloka Tunnel. Katie thinks that her father taught Ayami how to use the katana, but isn't doing it for her, but he tries to brush it off. To head to the tunnel, we'll first have to go through the Zarin mines of Bastok. We're stopped by a guard, but since we're at a high enough level, we're let through. The tunnel has a fast way through the middle, but it's very dangerous, so we'll actually be taking the longer way, which is going upstairs. We'll go to a question mark spot to spawn some leeches that are fairly low level, so it's not hard to actually defeat them. Once with the coral, we head back to Onsensu. He's thankful that we got the coral, but to get the item, he has to go to Norg, which he cannot do, so we have to go do it for him. Trading Royoma the coral, he hints that the weapon perhaps belonged to Onsetsu's wife, who I assume is no longer around. Perhaps this will be a gift for his daughter? Whatever the case may be, we head back to trade the weapon. We get a really emotional cutscene. The katana was in fact his wife's, that he sold for money. She was a master at being a ninja, and Sensu wasn't much more than a low-ranking crewman. When Ayami wanted to become a ninja, Sensu said no, but she kept going on the path. He doesn't want Cade to also become a ninja, but realizes that stopping her dreams was perhaps a fool's errand, and gifts Cade the katana. As a gift for us, we're given the scroll to learn how to become ninjas, but we're not done yet. There's an important quest that I want to do. In order to unlock the spell for shadows, we have to do a quest to unlock it. We could also instead buy it, but there wasn't any scrolls on that auction house at the time. But after a yell, someone offered to sell it to me. The quest to unlock it isn't too hard, so I don't feel too bad at buying it off of somebody. So big shoutouts to This guy. The name is too long for my smooth brain to say it, but put some respect on my man. After that, we'll unlock a second job in the expansion. The Dragoon uses pole arms as their primary weapon, and it comes with a small wyvern for extra damage. They also get 3 different jump options. Jump does damage, high jump does less damage, but loses some hate, and super jump loses all hate, but does 0 damage. We'll be going to Port Sandy to start the quest. Talking to these guys in the corner, they talk about some rumors about Dragoons. In order to become one, you have to make a pact with a wyvern, but it's a Dragoon's job to defeat dragons, making it a hard cycle to become one. They hint that the last Dragoon may be down in the prison of Bustani Oubliette, but once getting there, we learn that he recently got trampled by a Beastmaster's pet. When he summoned the beast to escape the jail, he took out the last Dragoon. The Beastmaster was his friend, who got jealous of him becoming a Dragoon. It's hinted that this was all planned for him to go to prison with that Beastmaster. A bit shook, we head over to the cathedral in an attempt to learn anything more about becoming a Dragoon. We're told that there are some rumors of wyvern eggs being in the maze of Chakrami, and if we can get an egg before the Dragon Slayers do, we can get more help. In order to get the egg, we gotta grab a pickaxe, which I get from the auction house, before warping over there. Where the egg spawns is random, and where the excavation point is also random, and I had to go to basically the end of the map to find a spot, which was pretty annoying. But I got the egg on my first try, so I guess I can't complain too much. Once returning with the egg, we get told that the doctor is currently not there at the moment, but someone called Yashman who's coming up with these names, says that he's a student of his and knows how to hatch the egg. Going along with this plan, we head to the Merifatud Mountains to a long dragon spine. It seems his student was the person who wanted his Dragoon friend to die, and it was an illusion that he died to the Beastmaster's pet during the prison break. In reality, Beastmaster got trampled instead, and some smoke and mirrors hid it all. After attacking this wyvern and getting his blood, he's going to attempt to finish becoming a Dragoon. A knight comes by who was friends with Rahal, but was too late to stop Yachmdok. He attempts to kill the wyvern, but after seeing no dark seal on the body, he spares its life, though he thinks the wyvern will grow into a dragon full of hatred and mulls over if he should actually finish the job or not. Heading back, we find Rahal to get some more info. Brion's soul is being devoured by the dragon, and he must take this dragon cursed remedy to be saved. He's stationed over the orcs outpost, so we head there first to try and save him, but it seems like we got there too late, as they have already been consumed. He turns into a big scary dragon. And now we have to fight. We can't spawn any trust, but the dragon wasn't too much trouble for my warrior. Once defeated, Rahal tries to give him the drink to save him, but he refuses, saying that it is his time to go, and he's happy to see that his friend still cares about him till the end, and tells us to leave the wyvern be. Once the movie maker dissolves away, the wyvern gets the holy crest, I guess to show that it's actually a good wyvern and not a cursed one, and then he decides to make a pact with us. Now we get to name our wyvern. We can't actually type anything out, we just choose from a list of names, and I choose Jesse after some hard thinking. After that, we're let off the hook. Now that we're done with all the job unlocks that I really care for, I'm going to start doing some training. I'm only planning on getting the ninja up to 37 for the sub job, as I don't really like the ninja as the main job, but I will level Dragoon and Paladin. There's a few new spots to level up, but the first few areas are the same. From 1 to 10, it'll be the hairs at Ron Fair. To talk more about Dragoon, you can spawn a wyvern whenever you want. It has its own special attack when you do yours, and it has its own HP. You have to resummon it in 20-minute interval. Your attacks as a Dragoon aren't typically as strong as other jobs, because you and the wyvern are like 40-60. After we get to level 11, we head back to the dunes to do the same thing. During the grind, I found a notorious monster Pugil, which has a chance to drop something pretty decent for a mate. Bonus damage to magic burst. And after asking for help from the LS, Sharuva here came to defeat it, but we didn't get a drop, so back to grinding. Something I forgot to mention, ninjas get the dual wield ability. This works as a sub job as well. This doesn't work for any two-handed weapons, but swords and daggers work just fine. The next place is the Quivim Islands, and while I was grinding, I found this dude fighting this guy that I've never seen before. Soon after, there was another fight with this big gorilla looking guy. These are notorious monster fights, or NM for short, that typically require an item to summon them called a pop. We'll be using them a lot later. There's not too much more to know about the Quivim Island grind, but we'll be going to a new place once at 37. In the Yatunga Junga lowland, and conveniently close to the zone to Kazam, is a group of Mandragoras, called Mandis for short. They attack very fast, along with dodging pretty often. They also have a skill to heal themselves and put people to sleep, but despite all that annoyance, they are still faster to kill than most things at our level. Plus, we only have to do this for a few levels, levels, as at level 30, we'll be going somewhere else which is also new to the expansion. If we head back to the Kuluu tunnels, but this time go through the end of the tunnel, we go to one of my favorite zones. Welcome to the Uggalepih Desert. The massive sand dunes with a near limitless view is such a beautiful sight, even over 20 years. The music fits so well with the zone as well. It doesn't fall into the typical game desert music trope where there's people singing in the background, and once the sun starts to set here, it's a chef's kiss. But before we start our small grind, I want to get the home point teleport in the town of Rabo. It's a small town with an oasis. There's a second part, which is an auction house if you need one. There's also a bird right spot, which I'll take back to the East Uggalepih Desert to start the next grind. We'll mostly be attacking beetles. They have high defense and can increase it further, which is pretty annoying, and I'll occasionally mix in this Anakin guy. I talked about this very briefly in the first video, but there's weather in the game, and you can really tell that's going on when you're in the desert. Weather effects can affect where items are, some say it affects crafting, or chocobo digging, increasing chances to catch fish, and so on. I'm not sure if any of these are true, but what I do know is that this double fire in the desert makes the sand really bright and gives off a heat effect. It's the small things that make the world feel alive, not just a bunch of NPCs around a big town. Once at 33, we'll go back to Zilart to go dunk on some flies. Flying monsters have a weakness to piercing / range. This means that lots of pole arms will make quick work of the flies. I already talked about how cool this place is in the first video. I will mention again how beautiful the music is in this zone. We'll be here until 37, and once at, I'll stop leveling my ninja. I have no intention of using ninja as a main job at 37. They get the spell Shadows 2 at 37, so I can summon up to 7 shadows. Now shadows do not stack, and can override each other, so learning how to keep them up is an important skill for tanking stuff. There is a third shadow spell, but you can't use it as a side job, and late game tanking with ninja is pretty bad, so I'll just stop at 37. One thing I noticed pretty quickly was that the Dragoon's armor didn't really overlap with any of my previous gear, so I ended up buying some new stuff. It's a bit scuffed looking, but we worked with what we got. Realistically speaking, the armor is going to start mattering a bit less once we start going to the 60s, so it's okay to look like a noob. Once finished up here, we're going to the desert again. On the east side, there's an outpost that has a lot of goblins nearby. It is a bit of a dangerous spot, because they can link and fight with each other, but the experience is too great to ignore. Goblins can either do melee, magic, or range attack, depending on the class / name. They also have this really strong bomb attack that usually hits for over 100, but sometimes the goblin drops it by their feet, damaging themselves to 1%, and I want to emphasize again. Look at this view, it's really amazing stuff. Once going to 40, we'll be going back to the West Desert to fight some more beetles. This area used to be really scary, as if you didn't pull correctly, then all the beetles would link and destroy the whole party. This has since been fixed, I think. I didn't have this issue the whole time. You can see the effect of losing hate with high jump here. It switched to Bala after taking to the skies, but we'll be camping at Revelation Rock until 45, before going back to the Hood Classic Boosted Neat Oubliette to get 5 more levels. This guy from the LS, Half-Thor, gave me some nice gear to help out with leveling. It's not best in slot or anything, but it's better than random stuff that I've been using so far. Before fighting, Half-Thor came back to do crafting for me. The big thing about getting good gear is that you usually have to craft it, but since most people play a 99 cap, a lot of things are just not in the auction house anymore, so people who can craft stuff in the LS are very helpful. He gifted me some good swords to attack with, but I couldn't use it for a few more levels. The armor given was an Iron Ram set. If you equip it all, you get a bonus to damage and accuracy, so very helpful for the grind. I also decided to switch to /nin the whole time, meaning having ninja as a sub-job, as using a shield made a little sense at this point, and you can deal with using 2 swords, which is just more valuable. There's not too much more to note, so we'll skip ahead to level 50. If you're thinking to yourself, wasn't the whole point of leveling up to be higher than level 50? You'd be right. We've been leveling a lot, and we're going to level up a bit more, but we're almost done. The next expansion has no new job, so leveling done now is going to save a lot of time for later, but our level cap is still level 50. How do we break our limit? Well, we head back to Rudlud Garden and head towards the back. We'll meet somebody named Matt, the man who strikes fear into everybody for the past 20 years. He gives us a task to collect 3 items, and if we do, he'll train us to the next level range. The first location we're going to is the garbage compactor. It used to mean that you needed 4 people to open up the banishing gates, but there has since been updated into the game, so you no longer need 4 people, similar to the pet rock from Ultima RuneScape. The first item wasn't an issue, but the second one ended up killing me. I lost a bomb with super high jump for a bit, but the bat wasn't fooled. and took me out. Thankfully, the third one wasn't any trouble, and we got the first item needed for the quest. The second one will be in Crawler's Nest, the place that I haven't showed off in the base game yet. I never had a reason to go there, because the monsters slow down your attack, so trying to do XP there is not very useful. To get the Crawler's Nest, we have to go through Rolandberry Fields, taking the bird ride to get there. During the ride, we can see a whole lot of farming equipment that was left behind during the war, which is a really cool thing to see. After going through Crawler's Nest for a bit, you can go see this massive room full of cocoons and sacks. It's such a cool sight. But there's not too much more to note, and once getting all 3 items, we'll go to the last place. The last place is in the Eldim Necropolis, another place we haven't been to yet, but we'll see this place shortly after. I do want to mention, as we get in the last 3 items, you can just fight for them instead of looking for 3 items, but I'm choosing the easier route even if it takes longer. The Necropolis is another place where you used to need 2 people press levers at different times to help you explore, but now you can get an item that opens the doors for you, no lever needed. Now that we have our 3 items, we can head back to Matt to show him that we're not cowards, and just like that, we can now go to level 55. I'm gonna quickly get 1 level down at Boustany Oubliette, as you have to be 51 to get the next limit break quest. This time, we are to head to the cavern to look for 3 items. Again. This time, it's from fights, and 3 different hidden caves. There are some bosses that are guarding the item. You don't actually have to defeat them, you can run away. They have a draw spell, which forces you back towards them, which cooked me the first time, as he was casting a strong magic attack, and pulled me in before I could leave its range. But I got the item, so not too upset about it. Second time, he only drew me in once, so I was able to just walk out. The third boss kept drawing me in, but he didn't cast a strong spell, so I was able to just tank the hits. Now that we have all 3, we can go back to Matt again. He gives us a pat on the back, and tells us that we can go to level 60. In order to start the next quest, we'll have to be 56, so I'll be leveling just for a little bit longer. I'm going to get the Dragoon at 55, and stop leveling them, and only focus on Paladin for the rest of the leveling. We're staying at the same place to level. This level range is really bad. Since 55 is when a lot of places become good, the experience I will be getting for now is kinda meh, but we'll keep going. I can talk about something new here though. The best weapon skills in the game are multi-hits, as they all have different strengths and accuracy checks, and it calculates all the damage at the end. Polearm famously has Pentathrust, one of the best multi-hit moves in the game. Look at that number go. Over 10% damage, 360 damage, and 1 special attack. Now that's crazy. Once done with some more leveling, we'll get our next quest from Matt. He's not really original. He wants another 3 items. Some crests from 3 major beastmen location. If we were really min-maxing, we could have done this during the Magicite quest, since we visit those 3 nations as well. That's okay. The first place we'll be going to is in Devoy. Before doing a lot of exploring by going in and out of different cave systems, we get to see a really cool close-up of this burned down house. So we can't actually get past this wall, and we have to do a mini quest to do so. First, we have to get a white orb from this taro here, before going to 4 different ponds and putting it in to see the color change. There's 4 spots in Devoy, and we just have to touch them all. On the last one, we get a cursed orb, so the walk back to the taro is very slow, as curse slows down your overall movement speed. But once talking to them again, he gives us the orb that actually lets us through the gate, and it removes the curse spell for us. Once entering and walking for a bit, we get the first crest. Next, we're going to probably do the worst one in Castle Ostroja. We'll explore further than we have before, going up to the 4th floor. There's 2 ways to approach this. There's a bronze statue at the end, and we have to put in a password. The password changes daily, and there's 3 sections that show the password, 1 on each floor. The alternative is to simply brute force the password. There's a certain amount of words that actually work. I only got 2 of the passwords before brute forcing the last one. There was another guy here, not sure if they speak any English or not, but he did a clap when I opened the door for them. The monsters at the top of the hill guarding the crest have true vision, so even through invis, they can aggro to us. But the guy pulled the aggro, so I don't know what to really think of it. Regardless, we got the key item, now we just have 1 more in Biadu. There's no puzzles this time, just walk to an underground section and grab it. There's a few more enemies that have true sight, but they were all out of the way when I got there, so I didn't have to wait at all. Once with all 3 crests, it's back to Matt. After another quick thanks, we're given the ability to go up to level 65. To start the next quest, we have to level up a bit more to 61. We'll be fighting some crabs in the Kofalt tunnels, but before we go level, I asked the LS for some help to get an item. I don't need it right now, but I will need it later. A bit of a spoiler, though it's not that interesting. At level 70, in order to increase the max level, we'll need to trade an item called Testimony. Each shop has their own testimony paladins can drop here. Getting it now just skips some backtracking later. I didn't hit record, but we did, in fact, get it. Now we can go continue killing stuff. The crabs at the tunnel were too tanky and kind of slow for any good experience, so I went back to Zilart. There's a really big tree that you can enter, called the Boyota tree. We'll explore more more of this later, but it's a really cool place. The entrance has a bunch of spiders, which are really easy to defeat, and have the ability to slow down attacks, and they can also poison you, so it can be a little annoying. There are ways to remove the slow, but I don't have a spell for it, and I'm not a white mage. We'll be here until level 60, and go over to one less place to grind for now, before resuming some questing. We'll be going to a 6-zone place called the Valley of Sorrow, but we'll only be here for 3 levels before breaking off. This place is real mustard gas. The enemies love to stun the tank, which makes it awful to level up over time. There's 2 ways to zone into the Valley of Sorrows, but only one way is correct, as the other puts you into a one-way drop. The HD pack likes to make the sand from the dunes go full bright, and it's hard to see when it's morning in game, so I only try to show gameplay during nights. One thing that's really sick is that I got the Vorpal Blade weapon skill from here. It's important because this whole time I've been using Fast Blade, which is the first weapon skill you get for swords, but it only hits 2 times. Vorpal is 4, so now my paladin can finally do some damage. Once at 62, we can finally put a stop to the grinding and do some quests. I'm not going to do the Zilart missions just yet, but I will be doing something just as important. There's a gear set in the game called the Artifact Gear. Similar to 14, you can get job-specific gear by doing quests. You can upgrade the Artifact Gear to a +1 doing some late game content from this expansion, or even get Artifact Gear version 2, also called Relics, which is better than the +1 version, but I'm getting ahead of myself. The first quest is at 42, but the reward is just an okay sword that wasn't worth stopping the grind to go get it. One important thing to note is that Artifact Gear is lore relevant, and while I won't be going over all of them, I hope that the Paladin one can show how broken up the story is and how cool it is to piece stuff together. The quest starts in Sandy, and we'll talk to a kid from the questline about this kid losing his father. He wants a white stone from a cave in the Latau Plains, which isn't very hard to get. But first we have to talk to some NPC in South Sandy to get a hint that it's in the Ordell Caves. On my way to the NPC, I found this really cute park section with some obviously out of place stuff, but it's really cool to see anyways. So Bane doesn't really say anything of interest, so onto the caves we go. Once touching these stones, we'll get a fight. I should have summoned my trust, but I thought the fight would be easier than what it actually was, but we still defeat them. After that, we just return the stone to the kid. As a reward for giving us his stone, he gives us a sword from his dad's collection, saying that he won't notice that it's gone missing, which is rather alarming as to why a kid has 1. Stolen a sword, and 2. Has it ready to give out to strangers. But sure, I was unfamiliar with their game. Talking to him again, we get another cutscene. We meet someone named Vilbert, and he says that Exorch is currently not in control of the unit due to being sick. Though Albish says that his father is doing perfectly well and is confused a little bit. Soon after, a Taro friend peer pressures him into getting an item called the Giant Shell Bug in order to go fishing with them, even though his father tells him no every time he asks to go fishing. We can either buy the giant shell or fight for it. They're selling on the auction house for about 100k, which is very steep, but that's what sparks are for. We're also supposed to talk to Exorch first, who tells his son to pick better friends, as true friends wouldn't act like that, but his word is still no. Once handing the shell back to Albish, his friend comes back to ask if he got it, but he surprisingly says no. His sorrow buddy scolds him for not getting one, makes fun of his father for not being a true captain before running off. Albish gives us the instructions to go fish the great one ourselves, but he's not allowed to go. There is a skill for fishing, which is mostly used to make money, but since sparks exist, I haven't had a reason to really go into it. But now we need a fishing rod. There's 2 types of fish, small and big fish, and if you're using the wrong rod, you can't catch the fish. The auction house was selling a rod for over 100k, which is just ridiculous. So instead, I'll be going to Port Winders to buy it. Each crafting has its own shop and guild, and the guild sells stuff for the craft, and we can get a fishing rod there. But there are shops that are only open on certain hours of the day. This is one of them, so now we have to wait. After waiting patiently and not acting like a Karen, we get the clothes pole. Our objective is to climb Castle Ostroja and go fishing by a pool. Due to my high level, nothing was really aggroing or linking to me, so it was a pretty safe walk. Once finishing and defeating the monster, we'll get a key item, which is the fish itself. Returning back with the fish, Algiosh is shocked that we actually caught it and tells us to hurry back to Selbina to get it cleaned. Sail Dawn here does it for us and finds some old night boots, but we have to go back to Sandy to get them checked on. Exorch says that these boots are from the Royal Knights, and they shouldn't have gone missing, and to report them to Treon. Once at Treon, he tells us that the boots have initials etched onto them by one Churslod. These names A knight that has gone missing years ago. Trion tells us that he believes that he was a spy with the orcs, but there's not enough proof to say so. As a reward, and to make sure we don't tell anyone about what just happened, he gives us some gallant legs. One of the best paladin boots for 75 cap stuff. The next part of the quest is in Upper Juneau. We meet a Galka who's bored at work because people always buy new stuff instead of repairing old things, which is what he's paid to do. He talks to us about some rare old gauntlets from Bogarts that are hidden in the Eldim necropolis. Supposedly, Bogart makes the best of the best gear, and we should go seek them out. I asked an LS member to join in and help with the fights, as I'm decently low level for this. You're supposed to kill enemies until you get a coffer key drop, then look around the zone until you find a coffer, which spawns in a random location around the map each time it's opened. Once getting the coffer, you go back to the Galka so you can ask him to repair it. After all, he did say he was bored with his job, but he can't actually do it. It's beyond his skill. We get told a rumor that there's a magic item that a myth were found in the Shendo, so we gotta hit her up. I forgot to hit record, but the Mithra gives us the box for 1,000 coins. We got kinda merged, but we need the box, so it's okay. Going down to Port Juneau, we find that the box was actually stashed away. We get a cutscene once interacting with it. Bogart appears and tells us to give him a dark spark, and he'll repair them for us. The dark spark is in Castle Zaval. Once interacting with this torch, a bomb will show up. Once it's defeated, touch the torch again and we'll get the dark spark. Just a short trip back to the box, we get another cutscene. He just walks through us, saying that his work is done. Cool. There's 2 more coffers to get, and a quest from Trion. I'll be getting the quest first before going back for the coffers. Once talking to Trion, he hands our orders to us, which is to go for a manhunt for this Churchloud guy and to start at South Sandy. There's a few people scattered about who gives us some info. The first guy we speak to doesn't really trust us, thinking the knights were the reason why his son disappeared. This is his father, which makes sense why they're annoyed with us barging in. Second gal says that he used to paint a lot and his paintbrush is out of manner at the other end of Sandy. The third person also talks about the paintbrush and that it's a legendary brush that has gone missing in Castle Zaval. After that, we go hunting for another coffer key to find it. Big ups to Rompetot from the LS for helping with the hunts. Castle Zaval is terrible, and I'm very thankful for his time. He finds the key item as soon as I zone in, so it's some great timing. The coffer itself wasn't too hard to find either, but you have to make sure you drop down from a certain hole or else you'll be in the wrong spot. We find the paintbrush, but before we continue with the manhunt, I'm gonna go back to do the coffer keys, as those are quicker. At Viadu, my LS mate had to go, so I ended up soloing stuff to get the coffer key myself. I came as a sub-thief, so no dual wielding, but with Treasure Hunter, I get a higher chance to get stuff. I actually spent so much time fighting stuff that I got to level 63, so that's something. Once you use the coffer key on the coffer, we get the item, we can go to the next place. The last coffer that we have to open is in Garterledge Citadel. They changed the monsters in the bottom to be much higher level than what I'm used to. Normally, you could find magic jars here around level 45 or so, but now it's only level 100 monsters here. We'll be fighting some skeletons instead. I tried to solo it for a bit, but after getting nowhere fast, I asked help for the LS again, so big ups to Lol coming in and getting the coffer key for me. But now that all that is done, we will go back to our manhunt quest. I'm sorry for jumping around a bit, people come in and go throughout the day, so things have to be delayed sometimes. This is a multiplayer game after all, so now that we have the paintbrush, we can return back to the father of the Charslot guy. His father explains that he wanted to be a painter in his youth, but because his mother became ill, he had to become a knight to get some money, despite his best wishes. But now he's been missing for 4 years, and because his room is still the same as it was before, we explore it. After looking around for a little bit, we find a hidden letter behind a painting. However, we're unable to open the letter as none of the ink shows up, so we get to talk to Exorsh to tell us how to actually read it. Thankfully, he's always in the sword shop instead of being a responsible father, so it's easy to find him. Albiash comes to explain that he's prepared his sword for his expedition, spending great work to remove the rust from the years of neglect. He's confused, as he's on standby and he's not going on any expedition, but he does tell us the secrets of how to read the paper. It's a very old way to do things that's no longer used, so he doesn't mind telling us. But if we go to the void and check on a well, we'll get some water to put on the paper. After that, the message will show up, but when you interact with the well, monsters will appear, and you have to fight them. The first time I had to teleport, as too many monsters linked, and I couldn't beat them all. The next morning, I asked a friend I met along the journeys named Zainhart. I asked him to pull up, and he did. Put some respect on my man. Once the monsters are defeated, and dipping the letter in the well, we can see what the letter says. It's a confession written to Exorsh, saying he's no longer worthy of being a royal knight, and he sold a lot of trade secrets to the orcs for money and to save his ill mother, but this did not work as she died of the illness anyways. Vilbert threatened to expose his treachery story if he didn't continue with this, so he's an accomplice. Pretty cool stuff, but we should go find Vilbert to see his side of the story. Back to Albius in North Sandy, we ask him as to where he might be now. We get told that he's in the Jugner Forest to go fishing with Albius soon, but he doesn't believe that Vilbert is with the Yorks, and ignores our pleas for him to not go. We quickly hurry there. We get a pretty cool cutscene. We make it just in time to sneak up on Vilbert, but he quickly turns this into a hostage situation, forcing us to hand over the letter to save the child's life. An orc shows up, blocking the path for Albius to run off. The letter was a way to expose Vilbert even after death. But even with this letter, Vilbert decides to kill us off anyways, as we know too much, but before he does, Exor shows up to defeat the orc. They then talk for a bit. Exor is upset at the villain, and his son is shouting about it's not the strong who wins, but the righteous who wins a war. After that, they have a duel. Where Exor is victorious after his son gives him his old sword. Defeated, Vilbert says that his plans are already completed before he dies. Exor tells his son to never go alone again, which maybe he'd do if he wasn't in the sword shop every day, and to go tell Prince Trion what happened. Once at the chateau, Prince Trion is very proud of Exor for his duty, and it bestows upon him some armor, but he declines it, saying that no matter what he wears, his sword and armor will always be for Sandy, and requests that Trion gives it to us instead, as we are more deserving of the reward, which we are. After that, they walk off, and that's the end of that. I know I haven't showed off the armor yet, but I wanted it all to be assembled first before I actually wear it, so here it is. Now if you're wondering how this is lore relevant, if you remember the intro, how the beastmen besieged the town, seemingly going through all the defenses is because of Zilart, removing any surprise defense and letting the beastmen win easily. That's some pretty cool stuff. But now that we have this really cool armor, we're gonna set up the lock style. Similar to 14, you can set up an armor set to always be on. So while I won't be using this armor set for actual leveling, because I'm not tanking anything, the trust is, I'll keep it on to look like a snack that smiles back. Now that all that sidetracking is done, we'll continue with the Rise of the Zilart storyline. So, where were we again? Oh yeah. We gotta help Gilgamesh by exploring the ruins. To reach there, we have to go through the upper Elshimo lands, and we'll do so by taking a chocobo ride there. There's a few ways that you can get through the dungeon. You can either gather the items needed to go through the dungeon correctly, or have someone open the door for you. Now, I've been doing a lot of cheesing, going through doors, having people do things for me, so I'll do some of the work myself. We'll need a paintbrush and lantern. First, we'll get the paintbrush. We have to go find some tomberry cutters and cut them up for a key. All enemies will also aggro to us. They're much lower in level now, so you can beat them without much issue. Thankfully, it didn't take a lot of time to get the key as well. Once we have the said key, we'll go further into the temple until we find a library. We need to read some books while giving some nonsense advice, typically saying that if you want to do something, stand up straight and focus. But eventually, we'll get another key. All of these keys are reminding me of some RPG Maker horror game. Once with the second key, we examine an old casket to get a paintbrush. And now we can start on the lantern. This drops from a handful of enemies, but they require us to go through different temple entrances to enter. As you can see on the map, there's a few spots that you can go through. This was just part 1. We'll be beating up some more Tonberry Maledactors. As they'll drop the lantern, we can only get one of them, and they're easy enough to beat. While I was waiting for the monsters to respawn, I found this absolutely beautiful room. The flowers mixed with the sun leaking through the roof, breathtaking honestly. Now that we got what we want, we can finish exploring the temples. On our way where we're supposed to go, there's a temple guardian which won't let us through until we defeat them. It wasn't very hard and we're let through, along with getting another level up, so now we're level 64. There's a certain room with a bunch of paintings on the wall, one of them being empty, though there is some really beautiful art showing off some lore and cool places that we'll be going to later on. on. In order to actually paint the canvas, you have to be right in front of it, and I do mean right in front of it, and we have to wait 30 seconds without being aggroed or move. Otherwise, it'll stop the process as we lose our focus. Once past the door, we zone into the Den of Rancer, an underground place that the Tonberries dug up a long time ago. We have to go to a fire, and with our lantern, light up the lantern outside the gates that we have to go to. If I had multiple people with me, then they can also help out with this, but as you may imagine, this will take a long time with one person, but it is what it is. I ended up pulling aggro and dying, but I was out of invis items anyways, so I had to go back for more. Thankfully, the lantern progress is saved, so you don't have to do all 4 every time. But after asking the LS for help, they let me through the gates, not requiring me to light the torches. Now I know I said no cheese, but I got the key items, so I basically did all the work. And going back and forth with the lantern to light up things again, it's just busy work, so I'm okay with this. After that, we have a BCNM fight with some Tonberries. Shoutouts to Scarcia for helping out with opening the gates and the fight. While I could have done the fight myself, having someone who's like 3 times my level is a lot better. An annoying thing about BCNM fights in general is that you have to wait until people are out of the fight to actually enter. It's only one group can enter at a time, so I ended up waiting. I then realized that I was on the wrong quest. The quest with the temple is the 4th one, not the 3rd one. I was very embarrassed, to say the least. We're supposed to get a key item here from the Smithra to actually open the door, warning us about the dangers that we accidentally already went through. After a very fast fight, we get a cutscene. A ghost appears to give us more backstory. A scholar of a civilization called the Kuluu, though it's mostly made up of Tonberries now. Some backstory is that there's 5 big crystals that the Zilart used to develop their people, 5 craigs, also known as the Arcs, which are big powerful sources of power. The Dark Crystal in the Death Cult Tower is the one powering everything. It's said that using all 5 crystals' power will open up the gates to the heavens, causing Benadel to become a paradise for the gods. The Kuluu were against it, but the Zilart were uncaring for their pleas, and used the power of the crystals to make a floating continent in the skies to help out with the plans. In an attempt to stop their plans, the Kuluu led an assault to try and fight them off, but the attack seemed to have made things worse, as the crystals went out of control, wiping out the Zilart. The rest of the power was pushed onto the Northlands, leaving them as they are now. Because of the crystals, over time, the Kuluu turned into Tonberries due to the corruption. They have no regrets, as the people of Benadel deserve the land, not the gods. He instructs us to go to Zepwell, and if you remember from the Bastok intro, it's the place where the Galkas reside in, and to gather some crystals, though the location is unknown. He gives us a warning to beware of the Zilart, as the powers they have from the crystals makes them very powerful with magic. After that massive lore dump, he leaves us be, handing us one of the fragments. This is where I'll be leaving things off for this video. I know this may be a disappointment, especially after all the combat we've been doing, but once I hit 75 on Paladin, I no longer need to level for a very long time, as it's mostly story from here. And I think the hour-long videos are a good way to digest things without people forgetting stuff. So with that, the next video will be about finishing the story and doing the late game content and Rise of the Zilart. I also have a Blue Sky that you can follow. I'll mostly be posting some art stuff along with any info about the videos I'm making, so feel free to follow that if you care for it. With that, I hope you have a good day, and I'll see you next time.